Tops St. Patrick's Day Parade is set for this Saturday at 12:30 in Rochester. I'm delighted to welcome board member Mark Dowdell back to the program with us. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Mark.
So the first question, with all this talk about coronavirus, COVID-19, and of course quarantines, is are we going to have a parade?
Well, at this point, we're planning on having the parade as normal. We're, of course, waiting to hear what the governor has to say in a few minutes here, as well as county executive and the mayor, and how they'll weigh in on what the possibilities might be for the taking place or the cancellation of the parade.
As best as you understand, ultimately, what will the decision come down to, whether or not to have it or not?
It would ultimately probably be based on the fact of whether or not we can keep the people safe, the patrons on the sidelines, as well as those participating in the parade itself.
Okay. Assuming we do have a parade, let's look at that scenario first. What would be the message for people coming down to Rochester to line the streets and cheer on those who are marching in the parade?
Well, I think it would be the same thing you've heard from all the county health examiners and the boards across the nation. Keep your hands clean, make sure that you're not in close physical proximity. It's tough to transmit this by airborne transmission. Therefore, if you practice good hygiene, your risk will be very low.
Now, we know St. Patrick's Day is March 17th, of course. I guess the question would be, has there been any talk about the possibility of rescheduling at this point?
We have not entered those conversations at this point. It's always a challenging thing to do because of the fact of how parades are set up weekend before the 17th or weekend after. So therefore, there would be a lot of differential from the first planning to a recurring planning if we had to go that way.
Right. And again, under the assumption that there is going to be a parade this Saturday, let's talk a little bit about the details. 12:30 starts at East and Alexander and continues on down toward Main Street, right? And where do we end up this year?
That is correct. We end a little bit short of Plymouth at Fitzhugh Street. That way we can have people disembark their floats, and the groups can disband and go in their different directions where their parking happens to be. We've got over 120 marching units again this year, 15 bands, all sorts of dogs, horses, goats. The leprechaun will be there, and St. Patrick himself, of course.
Grand Marshal this year is David Bellavia.
That's an outstanding choice. We always wonder, Mark, how we're going to outdo the year before, but our Congressional Medal of Honor winner here locally, the only one to win from the Gulf War. So therefore, we're honored to have him. We have harmonica Pete Dupre. He's going to play a few selections for us. 97 years young, a World War II veteran. And our own Marianne Tucker is our Citizen of the Year. And
again, at this point, let's just sort of put a bow on this conversation. At this point, the parade is on. We'll await a decision in the next day or two. I would think you'd have to have some kind of indication to get the word out to people. I would think Friday at the latest.
That would make the most sense. At this point, we're postured, ready to go. We're waiting for the powers that be to make a decision different, contrary to what we're already planning.
One way or the other, we'll look forward to celebrating in Rochester with you.
As will we, Mark.
Mark, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Again, the parade's set for this Saturday at 12:30. It is on as of now, so make your plans accordingly. If you missed any of our conversation, we'll share it online, as always, at rochesterfirst.com.